for less than what I built that $600 gun for, which you guys can go check out on the main channel, you can get this like RF-15, which we have actually done a number of videos on. We spent some, I think we bought ours for like 15 for like $350.
Yeah, it was a little more than that, like $375.
Yeah, something like that, you know, and then plus like shipping and fees and whatever. But I mean, we've thrown that thing out of barns. We've drove that thing over with a truck, you know, and I'm just always blown away, Josh, by how different or just how much abuse these rifles can take, you know, like it's amazing to me.
Radical, I think, is actually two companies. So there's Radical Firearms, and then I think there's Radical Weapons or something. So they've got like their budget brand AR-15s, and then they've got like this really expensive suppressor company that they're running, I think maybe even in the same factory. So it's really an interesting company.
And they're making like high-end suppressors?
Yeah. So
really?
It's really an interesting company. I think they might even make suppressors for like the minigun or something. Just like really, it's an interesting company. That's for sure. But the RF-15 is a very high value rifle for the cost that you're spending on it. So it does have a 4140 barrel, which is a little bit on the cheaper end as far as metals go, and the barrel itself is probably like a 1 or 2 minute barrel. It's not. No, I wouldn't even say it's a 1 minute barrel. It's probably like a 2 minute barrel, based on what we've seen out of barrels of that type.
Because we've tested that same barrel, that 4140 chromoly vanadium.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's and I don't think they're making that barrel either. I think that's coming from an OEM house, like maybe a BCA, or I don't know who it is for sure. But
because it's actually really hard to find 4140 barrels.
As the average consumer, it's almost impossible to get a 4140 barrel, and if you do, you're usually paying more for that lower quality 4140 barrel than if you were to buy a more expensive like 4150 barrel. And that's because 4140 isn't really mass produced for the consumer market anymore. It's mass produced for people that are making those budget rifles, your MP15, your RF15, your just the cheap Dunham's stock on the shelf rifle. But there's a ton of value in that, and they're able to cut costs by using the 4140 barrel, and they're probably using an imported handguard from like China or something. And that was my only complaint. My only real complaint with that rifle was the handguard felt cheap, and the barrel nut also I think is an aluminum kind of cheapo barrel nut as well. So they really cheaped out in those two spots. But I mean, that's an $80 upgrade realistically. If you know how to do all the stuff you need to do to change out your barrel nut. Which, you know, you need a torque wrench, you need a bench, you need a little
But that's the thing too, is that's a great base for upgrading, right?
So
like,
you know, the $100 upgrades video is that rifle.
Exactly. So like, you know, you get that rifle for cheap, and then you spend, you know, you could spend as much as you want, I mean, at the end of the day, but you could spend, you know, $100, you could spend $300, you could spend $1,000 upgrading that rifle. Now, I would say that if you are deal shopping, deal making, you probably could still build a higher quality rifle for the same price, like $500. Probably could still build a higher quality rifle. You could get a better barrel, could get a bit better of a bolt carrier group. That's going to help your accuracy. You know, you could spend some money on an optic, that type of thing. So, like, I think, you know, honestly, I think you could find a little bit more value if you're shopping around for individual parts. But it does really depend, honestly. Like, I think sometimes things go on, you know, on sale, or, you know, there's, you know, all kinds of ways that you can save money. But at the end of the day, I think having a budget rifle to start and then upgrading from there is just as good as like building from scratch. And I don't think there's a obvious savings.
I think if you can find the RF-15 for under $400, it's a steal. It's a no-brainer. That's just, it's a quality rifle at that price point. I think the actual MSRP of that rifle is $599, but I usually see it between like $350 and $400.
Right.
And if you can find it down at that price range somewhere using, you know, one of the 100,000 deal aggregators that are on the internet today, it's a good good rifle at that price.
Go grab it.
What I think it kind of fails in is just the pride of building your own rifle and keeping it in a budget. You get a lot more out of that but if you're not into building things,
well, exactly.
When
I do think
I have a comment that goes
sure.
right into that. So we had that same video, the $600 bill.
Yeah.
There was a guy named Turbo6019. He said, "In my opinion, the feeling of using something that you built has a special feeling in itself, or that is not something that you can buy. It's difficult to explain, but it's a great feeling for those that can do it correctly, because it's not dangerous if done. It's dangerous." So he said, excuse me, sometimes people have weird grammar on the internet, and sometimes when you're reading it, your brain fills in the blanks. He
Yeah.
said, it has a great feeling if you can do it correctly, because it's dangerous to build a gun if you're not doing it correctly. And that's true. You need to know a lot about building, but the fact that you can save quite a bit of money and build it yourself, I think really leans into. So you can spend $350, $375 and you get the RF-15 pre-built, and then you can do some minor upgrades to it, like in the $100 upgrades video, or you can take the approach that we did from that video, and it's I have $600 to build a whole gun. How am I going to do it?
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Exactly. Well, and I think the thing that most people forget about is the deals that you can find across. There's Reddit, but then there's other places, all kinds of deal aggregated places.
Even, when we were doing the $1,000 build, you used AI to find a Geissele barrel.
I did.
Like
yeah. No.
$200.
I told AI. I said, hey, I have this much money. Find me a deal on this product, basically. and it did. I was shocked. I was like, I've never used AI to shop around before. I'm sure there's some people who are pro AI, anti AI, but when it's saving me money, I'm for that. So that was really cool. But yeah, there's tons of ways that you can save money. You can wait around for deals. Of course, there's the obvious deals. 4th of July, Labor Day, Black Friday, those types of times, and there'll be lots of times to save some money, because lots of different places will be offering really great deals. So, and you can also sell stuff too, which is another thing that you did in the the $1,000 upgrade. Yeah, if you go, Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that, it's not obviously, there's certain regulations and laws for serialized firearms, things like that. You don't want to be messing around with that. But, accessories, stocks, grips, handguards, you can wheel and deal that stuff all day long, and it's like super easy to do.
Especially if you have a good local connection to the shooting space. If you do a lot of competition shooting and a lot of those people, there's a ton of Facebook groups, there's GAFs, there's
or local gun shops will buy some stuff too.
I've never experienced that.
Yeah.
I've never gotten a good amount from like a pawn shop or a local gun shop. I have actually, before I moved here, I tried to pawn off some firearms. So I don't want these. It was like an IWI Tavor. Like, I don't want these anymore. Like, I don't want to pack them up. I don't want to worry about them. Like, I just want to get rid of them.
You've been trying to sell your Tavor for years, and nobody wants it.
Nobody wants. Well, the pawn shop wanted it for like $600. Like, no thanks. Like, it's worth a little bit more than that. The thing's brand new because I don't like shooting it, so I haven't shot it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I wouldn't suggest going to like a pawn shop, but it's not unreasonable to expect to get like 50% of the cost back on some of that stuff if you try to liquidate it or get rid of it, so you can get something better. So
sure,
that's why I put the limit like, we're going to get 50% back. But yeah, no, building is definitely an interesting route to go down. Because there's got some preliminary costs that people don't think about. Like, you're going to need some specialized tools. You're going to need some punches. You're going to need torque wrenches. You're going to need barrel nuts, barrel nut wrenches. You're going to need, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You might need to get some small parts bags, like some foo bags or whatever, so that when you inevitably send a detent into the stratosphere, you've got a backup and it's not super frustrating. But I mean, the AR-15 and the Glock 19, they're Legos for adults. It's super easy to build with. And then you got like the 3DP guys that are just literally pushing a button and spitting out some stuff. Some PLA.
Those are accessories and things that they want, and it's just super cool.
Today, we're going to take this rifle and we are going to beat the absolute heck out of it. To start, let's get a control and make sure that the rifle functions. We're on a safe range right now. We got about 10 rounds of X-Tac 5.56. This came from Bulk Munitions. Big shout to them for making sure we have ammunition all year. Let's do a control first. Make sure the weapon functions as intended. I would say that right now it's functioning as intended. Let's go ahead and do our first test. Okay, so first things first, this weapon's clear, it's safe, it's unloaded. There's no live ammunition up here for this portion of the test. So for this first test, we're gonna take the rifle, we're gonna drop it from the second floor of this barn, and we're gonna do that about 5 times. Drop number 1, drop number 2, all right, drop number 3, drop number 4. We're gonna try to get it on the buttstock this time. And drop number 5. All right, so that was 5 drops from the second floor of a barn. We're gonna go punch the dirt out of that muzzle device, make sure that our barrel isn't obstructed, and we will conduct a test fire, make sure that the weapon is still working. Ready? So far, so good. So now we're gonna go ahead and up the stakes a little bit. I'm gonna have my buddy Bill here go ahead and run this over with a 1,500-pound Kubota tractor. All right, Bill, let's go ahead and run this puppy over. Hey, Bill, why don't you reverse back over it one more time? We heard some cracking in there when he was driving over it, so let's go ahead and beat this thing loose. Bolt still cycles just fine. We've got a little bit of warping on the handguard here. What do you say we go give it 10 more rounds, see if it's still functioning as it should? I think it's gonna. The only complaint that I've had about it is the handguard is a little bit wobbly. It's no more wobbly than it was when we started right now, which I'm actually kind of impressed by that fact, but it is still wobbly. Another thing that happened, we can see as this pin that holds the ejection port cover is starting to come out, but it does function as intended still. We're gonna go ahead and put another 10 rounds through this. We did check the barrel, it is still straight. So let's go ahead and go over and put another 10 rounds through it, make sure everything is good there. And then we will move on to the mud test, which will also use that tractor. Let's go ahead and move on to the mud test. You ready, Bill? Keep it level, keep it level. Okay. All right. Okay. Things I do for you guys. Let it rip. Grab it, pick it up, and ooh, yeah, we're in the mag well there. So we're gonna have to actually probably hit this with the hose. So this is a bit of an extreme test with the mud. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Trying not to get mud on my face. So yeah, not a single malfunction. You can actually see how much grime is in that chamber, and it's still functioning just fine. I'm thoroughly impressed by this $350 rifle. Yeah, I'm very impressed by this. Guys, I gotta say, I'm impressed. What we've done today is we took this to the second story of a barn. We dropped it 5 times. After that, we took it out into Bill's driveway. We hit it with a 1,500-pound tractor, give or take 200 to 400 pounds if you count the attachments. Smashed the handguard up pretty good, but the firearm still functioned just fine. We did lose a little bit of the ejection port cover pin, but as we can see, that's still functioning just fine. And then after that, we took the tractor around the back, we dug up some mud, threw it in the bucket, and then jumped it on the ground into more mud and ran it over. And after I hosed it out just to make sure that everything was clear of any hard debris that would actually stop the gun, like hard stop the gun from firing, it still functioned. Guys, I got to remind you, this is a $350 firearm, and we're not paid by Radical to make this video. We don't even sell Radical parts. And it just goes to show like how far machining is coming over the years, how far manufacturing has come over the years. At the price point Radical is putting this out into the market, you're really getting a strong value. Yeah, I think, honestly, if I were talking to Radical face to face, I would say, figure out this handguard, this lockup issue that you guys have, and this is just a really good firearm. And I guess at the end of the day, what it goes to show is that you can get a lot of firearm without a lot of money in today's market, just because of how far manufacturing has come over the years. If you guys want to see how you can take this $350 rifle and make it feel like $1,000, go ahead and check out this video and I'll walk you through some of the upgrades you can make to this thing to really make it an awesome rifle. We'll see you in the next one. Man, crazy.